So, our topic for today is human trafficking. Members are David Shigaranto and Chopateo. So, human trafficking. Human trafficking is the second largest and fastest growing criminal industry in the world, with as many as 27 million individuals living in slavery-like conditions. So, human trafficking. Trafficking in person is a serious crime and grave violation of human rights. Every year, dozens of men and women and children fall into the hands of traffickers in their own country and even abroad. Almost every country in the world is affected by trafficking, whether as a country of origin, transit, or destination for victims. UNODC, as a guardian of United Nations Convention against Transnational Organized Crime, UNTOC, and protocol there to assist state in the airport to implement protocol to prevent, suppress, and punish trafficking in person. So there are elements of human trafficking. Number one is or what is done. It is the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of person. Second is the means, or how it is done. It is the use of threat or force, coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power, or vulnerability, or giving payment or benefits to a person in the control of the victim. Third is the purpose, or why it is done, for the purpose of exploitation, which includes exploiting the prostitution or other sexual, forced labor, slavery, and similar practice of removal of organs. Criminalization of human trafficking. A definition contained in Article 3 of the Trafficking in Person Protocol is meant to provide consistency and consensus around the world on the phenomenon of trafficking in person. Article 5 therefore requires that the conduct set out in Article 3 be criminalized in domestic legislation. Domestic legislation does not need to follow the language of trafficking in person protocol precisely, but should be adopted in accordance with domestic legal system to give effect to the concept contained in the protocol. In addition to the criminalization of trafficking in person, protocol requires criminalization also attempts to commit a traffic offense. Participation as an accomplice in such an offense, organizing or directing others to commit trafficking. National legislation should adopt the broad definition of trafficking prescribed in the protocol. The legislative definition should be dynamic and flexible so as to empower the legislative framework to respond effectively to trafficking which occurs both across borders and within country. Not just cross borders, is for a range of exploitative purposes, not just sexual exploitation. Victimize children, women, and men, and not just women or adults, but also men and children, takes place without or with the involvement of organized crime group. So there are types of human trafficking. First one is the sex trade, which is a crime when women, men, or children are forcefully involved in commercial acts. In the United States, any minor under the age of 18 engaged in commercial acts is automatically considered a victim of sex trafficking under your law. Worldwide, it is estimated that there are 4.5 million victims of sex trafficking. Second is the forced labor can be understood as work that is performed involuntarily and under the maintenance of any penalty. It refers to situation in which persons are coerced to work through the use of violence or intimidation or by more subtle means such as manipulated debt, retention of identity papers, or threat of denunciation to immigration authorities. Lastly is the domestic servitude. It is the seemingly normal practice of live-in help that is used as cover for the exploitation and control of someone, usually from another country. It is a form of forced labor, but it is also warrants its own category of slavery because of the unique context and challenge it represents. Human trafficking, the problem. Human trafficking happens in almost every country around the world, including the United States. Traffickers represent every social, ethnic, and racial group. Various organizational types exist in trafficking, including large nationwide gangs and criminal organizations, lawful street and motorcycle gangs, and individuals with no affiliation with any one group or organization. Traffickers are not only men. Women are also perpetrators. Increasingly, the traffickers are using fair tactics to lure children and youth into commercial sex acts and compelled labor. The base of the issue is the traffickers' goal of exploiting and enslaving victims and the coercive and deceptive practice they use to do so. Traffickers may exploit youth for the purpose of commercial sex or forced labor, such as recruiting, enticing, harboring, transporting, providing, obtaining, and maintaining a minor for the purpose of such commercial sexual exploitation. Second is exploiting a minor through prostitution. Exploiting a minor through survival sex, exchanging sex for the ox of money or something value such as shelter, food, or drugs. Third is exploiting a minor through sex tourism. Exploiting a minor by having her or him perform in sexual venues, such as peep shows, strip clubs. Fourth is exploiting a minor through bonded labor, debt, or bondage. Fifth is exploiting a minor through forced labor, including involuntarily domestic servitude, such as nanny, maid. Exploiting a minor through forced child labor, such as sweatshop workers, janitors, restaurant workers, fishery workers, hotel and tourist industry workers, home beggars. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Service has issued news guidance on child trafficking to child welfare system and runaway homeless youth program, highlighting the vulnerability of young people with risk factors who are often preyed upon by traffickers. Physically restricting victims or restricting their freedom of movement, such as keeping victims under lock and key, or constant surveillance. Using debt bondage, such as imposing financial obligation, convincing victims they are honored upon to satisfy debt. Isolating victims from the public, such as limiting contact with outsiders, ensuring that the contact is monitored or superficial, isolating victims from their family members and members of their ethnic and religious community, confiscating victims' passports, visas, identification, and documents, using or threatening to use violence towards victims and their families, threatening to shame victims by exposing their circumstances to their family, telling the victims that they will be imprisoned for crimes they were forced to commit or deported for immigration violation if they contract authorities, controlling victims' money, such as holding their money for safekeeping. Young people, especially those with risk factors, are vulnerable to human trafficking. The Administration for Children and Families at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services issued new guidance on child trafficking to child welfare system and runaway and homeless programs because of increased vulnerability to trafficking for youth who have experienced prior abuse or have run away from home. These young people are often paid on by traffickers and lured with false promise of love, money, or simply a better life. Traffickers may also use variety of techniques to instill fear in victims and ensure that they remain under their control. That's all for our topic. Thank you.